There is a huge difference between skill and talent. Now, while talent will give you a natural skill at something, you still need to hone at it to get better. I like to say, conservatively, I'm a pretty good speaker. I can speak in front of a large group of people. I can even lead large groups of people. And what's even better is that it coincidentally helps with the ladies. I feel that even if I'm looking like this, or if I'm dripped in sauce, I can pull any lady I want. Now, something that I'm skilled at, people might mistake that I'm talented at, is football. I'm very skilled at football. And let me give you guys a little bit of a story. I have a relative of mine. He is a cousin when I'm trying to explain to people the intricacies of my family, or when I don't feel like explaining to people my intricacies of what I consider family, or when I'm mad at him, and he's a brother at any given time. His name is Max Smith. And when I say that this guy has loads of talent and skill, he has it. I would line up against him. We would practice together, and he would completely destroy me in every rep, every set, every route, whatever we did. And it definitely allowed me to develop my skills. So when I lined up against people, it was the business. I was just more skilled than you. Did I have any talent in football? Zero. I'm being so serious with you guys. But the skills that I honed through playing people better than me allowed me to become a very good player, no matter who I line up against, skill or talent-wise. And the same thing could be said for Yu-Gi-Oh! While Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't inherently have things that you could be talented at per se, you could be a talented deck builder, but that doesn't really translate into games. You could be a talented strategist, but that almost doesn't translate into games as well. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does take some sort of skill, stuff that you need to hone on and to be developed on. And that's exactly what this video is about. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, they're going to destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, go ahead and hit that notification bell because, well, we just too strong. I also want to give a special thanks to every single one of my Patreons. Without you guys, videos like this would not be possible. And also a mad shout out to our newest Patreon. I hope I'm saying his name right. Is it James Nicholas or Nicholas James? I'm gonna go with Nicholas James. Welcome to the clan, man. I hope you enjoy the top dogs. Without further ado, I present to you a very strong argument to why Yu-Gi-Oh! Takes skill. But don't worry, guys. I have those counter arguments as well. Okay, so we're going to be giving you guys some really good points to why Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't take skill, but as I am with the opposition of that, I feel that Yu-Gi-Oh! Does take skill. I'm going to be giving you more points to why Yu-Gi-Oh! Does take skill. Now, I want you guys to comment down below in the comment section, is the TheCaliEffect bugging? Does Yu-Gi-Oh! Really take skill, or are my points invalid? Of course, list your own down below, and it'll be really exciting to see what we have to say. So the first point is a very logical point because this is in everything that you do. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a luck-based game. It takes no skill whatsoever, and luck is always the deciding factor of if you were to lose or win a game. Now, I have a very good counterpoint to this. In high-level events, ladies and gentlemen, it is 12 rounds. That is right, 12 rounds of grueling Yu-Gi-Oh! And this, let's say if you just happen to 2-0 scrape every single one of your opponents, that is 24 games. Now, I think that that is a huge sample size and is very unlikely for somebody to get lucky in every single one of those games and every event that has ever happened in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even if you guys boil it down to a local level event, which has maybe anywhere between 3 to 5 rounds, that is still at the very least 6 to 10 games. And to say that somebody can consistently get lucky every single one of those games, it's just not only it's improbable, it actually is on the borderline of impossibility. And I'm actually gonna have a time in Yu-Gi-Oh! That kind of proves this a little bit further. There was actually back in 2008, if you guys did not know, it was ran by Teledad, one of the most skillless decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! But there was actually an even more skillless deck that rewarded you for being lucky, Lightsworn. Now, Lightsworn was really powerful because all you had to do was have 4 Lightsworns in your graveyard to summon the best boss monster at the time inside of Judgment Dragon. This made Lightsworn an extremely lucky deck, especially when you combine that with the fact that Charge of the Light Brigade, Solar Recharges were at 3. Being able to get 4 Lightsworns in your graveyard was very easy. Now, one would ask, why didn't Lightsworn actually dominate that format? Well, Dark Arm Dragon was a very powerful card. Lightsworn had Judgment Dragon, which is arguably just a better card. Luck, because in a high-level event where it would take so many rounds for you to top, Lightsworn just couldn't get lucky enough to plow out Judgment Dragon. It actually happened right after Gladiator Beast and Teleport Dark Arm were severely hit that Lightsworn had its time to shine, but not because of luck, just because it was sheerly the best deck of the format. I think that was a really good example to prove that luck isn't always the deciding factor. Now, I've been on my fair shares of my opponent top decking Raigeki and winning the game, but that actually comes from a deck building perspective too, because you actually have to be able to play those powerful cards and be able to successfully maneuver those cards into your hand, whether it is a lucky top deck or just having the sheer ability to draw or search out powerful cards is what is the deciding factor in Yu-Gi-Oh! More often than not. Not saying that luck doesn't play or factor in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's always that dice roll, but more often than not, it's always interactions on interactions and the ability, especially in high level events, to be able to play at a consistently high level, which means that there has to be some skill. Another argument that actually holds some merit, I think that it's a pretty solid argument, is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is ran by money. I can't disagree with that. But in actuality, you'd be hard pressed to find any competitive game that isn't ran by money. I mean, Wu-Tang says it best. Cash rules everything around me, and if you guys think that you can hop on a football field without the proper equipment, having the right gloves at any given time, gloves do wear out, you're gonna have to buy some, which requires money, or having the appropriate cleats, then you are going to struggle. Now, the difference between that, or actually the similarities between that football analogy and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that it increases your ability to win games. I remember a couple of clutch catches that I've had, and I'm like, yeah, without the gloves, I probably wouldn't have made that catch. And the same thing goes for Yu-Gi-Oh! Without these higher end cards or these more expensive cards, then your game might be a little harder, but not impossible to be a competitive player. I actually want to make a video on how to be a competitive player on a budget, but that's for another time, possibly somewhere down the long in another video. Let me know down below in the comment section if you guys want to see it. But I digress again. The biggest conundrum is that people think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is completely firewalled by having an exorbitant amount of money. I can give you guys a little bit of insight. Some of the most competitive players are dirt poor. They're either good enough or skillful enough to be able to obtain the cards, whether it is they have a little bit of cash and they learn how to circumvent that money into getting all the cards that they need, or they are smart enough to invest into certain cards and certain strategies at points in time and capitalize on that. Playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about street smarts as well as the ability to be able to play the game well. You can say that it's almost like a stock market to be able to manipulate how cards work to your advantage, which is why you guys should always be watching House of Champs Market Watch. It's actually a pretty good series he has going on right there. Essentially, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is always in a state of lose-lose, if you ask me. There are players that complain about cards being very expensive, and then when they do get reprinted, there are players complaining about their cards dropping in value. Being able to get those cards at the sweet spot, not when they're too expensive, but also in a timely manner so you can play them and win events, is part of a skill, if you guys ask me. That's a whole different dynamic in Yu-Gi-Oh! That doesn't necessarily pertain to the game, but it definitely is very skillful. And finally, you actually don't need a lot of money to play Yu-Gi-Oh! At least not when it comes to playing other card games. Being able to find the right budget deck that can actually compete into the format, there are plenty of them. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I just showed you guys 2 decks that are extremely competitive, that have been competitive for quite some time, that you guys could have been playing to rack up the credit to basically get whatever you want inside of this Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. Check them out. I saved probably one of the biggest points that players love to bring up for last, and to be honest with you guys, it's the only point that I am genuinely just outright annoyed by. Why? This point doesn't have a base, if you ask me. There's no legitimate reason for this to be a valid point. It is everybody plays the same deck, so Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't take any skill, and you couldn't be more far from the truth. And I'm gonna show you guys why. First of all, not everyone plays the same deck, because if you go into an event, not every single deck is the exact same deck, card for card, or even the exact same strategy. We can say that a good 30% or maybe 40% play the best available strategy, and then on out you have counter strategies. So when you sit down across your opponent, you're either A, playing against a player that knows the exact same strategy that you are playing. They're playing the exact same thing, and they have the ability to either outskill you because maybe they know some intricacies that you don't know, or even B, have cards sided or mained for you that you may not be well prepared for. And if you guys are sitting across the table from someone that is playing a counter strategy, then that brings a whole entirely different situation. Not only are you playing against a player that might be just as skilled as you, you're playing against cards that fit your strategy or that counter your strategy perfectly. Some of the best players in Yu-Gi-Oh! Play the best strategies, but also play above their counter strategies, which makes it so good. If that doesn't sound skillful, I really don't know what else to tell you. Something else that people do like to argue is that if you copy someone's deck list, you'll automatically win, and that couldn't be more far from the truth as well. Just because you copy someone's deck list doesn't mean that you are ready to skillfully be able to play the said strategy. People like to say that it's just remembering certain sequences and card effects and how card interactions work, but no, that's only half the battle. Knowing your deck and knowing how to respond to your opponent's interactions is definitely how skilled Yu-Gi-Oh! Players separate themselves from the unskilled. The last thing is just, whoa, I actually gotta read this. It's just like, seriously, some people just don't play competitive decks and they go to a high level event and expect to win, and when they lose, get upset at this. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Konami is terrible at card designs on both sides of this spectrum. They either make decks really busted or they tend to make decks really bad. But let me give you guys in a scenario before we wrap this up. You and your buddy are like really big into racing cars, and one day he invites you to a drag meet, and no, not that type of drag meet, actual racing cars, and he offers to let you use one of his fast cars. Let's just say it's a Lamborghini. You decline for some reason, I don't know, you're probably out of your mind, maybe you're crazy, but you think your little Honda Civic that's straight piped in nitro on it can definitely beat whatever your friend brings to the competition. You guys actually make it to that competition and there's nothing but Lambos, Ferraris, and everything in between. And do you really think that your little Honda Civic can win? I mean, possibly if the Ferraris and the Lambos drove backwards, but I still think you'd lose. And that's exactly what players actually put themselves in situations with. They don't play the most adapt decks or some of the better strategies, or even just some of the niche strategies that can counter the better strategies. They want to play their specific strategy and hope to win. And if you ask me, that's just hustling backwards, homie. You really ain't gonna get much leeway there. Now, I'm not saying that these strategies can't win. I'm saying you put yourself in a very bad situation where sometimes your skill just can't make up for because of Konami's really bad card design. I do think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a very skillful card game. Even more importantly, I do think that the first two arguments are very good factors, but ultimately, the more skilled you are, as well as having a little bit of luck, as well as a little bit of the ability to attain some of the expensive cards, will go a long way. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of The CaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. And if you didn't, let us know down below in the comment section what you think we could be doing to be better. Please like, comment, subscribe. But most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day, like I am.